all our listeners know that because we've talked about it a lot, my sister had a really bad eating disorder when she was younger. And I'm thinking right now that the moment that that happened was about the time I first discovered the internet. And I reckon I was using it it's pretty obvious that I used it in whatever kind of thing I could look up and be distracted by it to get an endorphin hit to suppress the pain that I was experiencing at home. And I've done it for 24 years, 23 years. And I know that I still can't stop doing it in every moment of the day. And I'm pretty terrified about what I'd do without it. And if I'm feeling like that, then there's got to be a huge amount of people who feel like that. And I want more than anything to stop, but I just don't know how.
That's really moving, Josh, and you should be really proud of yourself for thinking about it and being brave enough to say it. How is your sister doing now?
Yeah, she's good. She's really good. Yeah,
I'm really glad to hear that.
Yeah, thriving, but yeah.
I think there's a lot of things in what you said, and I think, we had a lot of addiction in my family. One of my earliest memories is of trying to wake up one of my relatives and not being able to. And I didn't, I was too young to understand why then, but as I got older, I realised we had addiction in my family. And I think that thing you're describing, every addictive behaviour is an attempt to not be present with something painful. Every addictive behaviour, the core of addiction is about not wanting to be present in your life because there's too much pain for you to approach it. And that can be true of whether it's gambling addiction, porn addiction, cocaine addiction, whatever it is. And particularly addiction rooted in childhood trauma, that addiction is doing a job for you, right? The addiction to the technology is doing an important job for you, right? And all addiction does an important job for people. There's a really challenging line in Marianne Faithfull, the British rock star. She had a heroin addiction in the 60s. She was homeless and she had a heroin addiction. And she says this very challenging line, particularly challenging for me because I had heroin addiction close to me. She said, heroin saved my life because if it wasn't for heroin at that point, I would have killed myself, right? Now, Marianne is not saying that heroin is a good solution to despair, obviously. She's saying it's the best solution to despair she had at that moment in her life. So in a sense, what I would want to do with what you're saying is not pathologise your relationship with the technology. That technology's that behaviour has done a really good job for you, right? And I'm not going to come in and say to you, take it away. Because if that's taken away and you're just left with this terrible pain and trauma, that would actually be really harmful to you. So I would say, as with all addiction, what will help will be to see it as a symptom of a deeper pain and to carefully, in a supported environment, approach that pain and in a way not even think about the symptom for a long time, right? Let the symptom, let that compulsive behaviour carry on doing its good job for you. Because it may be, if the alternative is being with lots of pain, great, stay with that behaviour, approach the pain, and then over time, the need for that addictive behaviour can become less if the shame and pain is less. Does that ring true to you, Josh?
It does, but I think what I find terrifying moving forward is the fact that I think in the last 20 years, the tech companies and the world in which we're in has taken advantage of my pain and has preyed on it and made it more and more and more addictive. So now it feels like the addiction doesn't really have anything to do with the initial pain that it was trying to cover up. Mm-hmm. And I think I've dealt with the pain, but now I'm stuck with a new addiction that is purely due to the world in which we live.
So I would say a few things about that. That's really powerful what you just said. I'm just thinking about it. All social media is designed around a business model. It tracks you, it learns who you are to figure out the weaknesses in your attention so it can keep you scrolling. The longer you scroll, the more money they make. That's the current business model. But you can have all of the social media we currently have and have it not designed that way, just like we've still got petrol, but it's not got lead in it. The solution to that is really simple. Ban the current business model. Suddenly you become the customer. Suddenly they have to go, oh, what does Josh want? Oh, it turns out Josh wants to be able to pay attention. Okay, let's design our app not to hack his attention, but to heal his attention. Oh, Josh wants to actually meet up with his friends offline because people feel better when they're staring into each other's faces and not fucking staring at screens. Oh, we could design our app to facilitate that. We could introduce a button that encourages people to meet up with each other, right? All these things are completely technologically easy. People I met in Silicon Valley could design them in a week, but we've got to get the incentives right. And that's why we've got to change the business model. That's something we can totally do, right? I mean, James Williams, the guy I mentioned before, he said to me, the axe existed for 1.4 million years before anyone thought to put a handle on it. The entire internet has existed for less than 10,000 days, right? We can get this shit right. We can fix it. We can stop it being designed to hack and invade our attention, which has disastrous effects on us individually and in our politics, and instead have it designed to help us and heal us and help us achieve our goals. Technology should be something that helps us. I don't want us all to convert and join the Amish. I don't want us to abandon our technology. I want to have good technology that helps us achieve our goals. And that is absolutely achievable.
Wow.
Well, I feel a bit better now.
That's good.
Feel a bit empowered.